So, Jedi Survivor is Respawn's highly anticipated sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, and it once again sees us take control of Cal Kestis 5 years after the events of Fallen Order, as he's currently travelling the galaxy fighting against Empire while desperately trying to find a safe place to hide from them. But the question is, did the game live up to the hype, or does it fall short of expectations? Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and find out. Just a heads up guys, this video is totally spoiler free and none of the footage you're going to be seeing will include cutscenes or spoilers from the main story. It's just straight up gameplay showing you some of the areas we can explore and some of the enemies we'll do battle along the way. And all of this was captured on the PlayStation 5. So let's start off with the visuals and the performance of the game. Now just a heads up, I've been playing this on the PlayStation 5 so I can't fully comment for other platforms in detail, though I suspect it won't differ too much. Now I think Jedi Survivor looks absolutely fantastic. Like overall it's a very visually impressive game with stunning lighting, stunning environments and highly detailed characters to add to that. I've given this a go in performance mode and higher resolution mode on the PlayStation 5 and both of them maintain ray tracing, with the only real noticeable difference being slightly better performance in performance mode, would you believe, and a few visuals around the foliage in the game. Now that's not to say I've not had the odd visual issue here or there when the map hasn't quite rendered or loaded fully, making it look like a PS2 game. But this hasn't really lasted long, maybe a couple seconds, maybe more. Funnily enough, it's often happened when I'm just potting around on a map rather than in the middle of combat. But other than that, overall the performance and especially the visuals holds up really well on the PS5. Now I did hear it wasn't great on PC around the initial release, but I'm led to believe most of those issues have been sorted. But I did at one point have a bug where I couldn't get BD1 to slice the door open for me, meaning I couldn't then progress through the game. Even backtracking, I also had no access to a meditation point to respawn enemies, so it ended up with me restarting the game and losing about 15 minutes of progress and having to fight many enemies again just so BD1 can open the damn door. But that's the only really issue I've had. And moving on to the story, I'll dig ever so slightly into the general premise of the story without giving away any spoilers. But Jedi Survivor takes place 5 years after the events of Jedi Fallen Order, and it takes place in between the events of Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope when it comes to the wider Star Wars universe. In Jedi Survivor, Cal and his crew are looking for a safe place to hide from the Empire, and he's made a few new friends along the way. You're also going to see some of the characters from the first game return, along with some new characters, both friendly and foe, introduced along this story. Now overall, my view of the story is it's very, very good, and it builds greatly on the story told in Jedi Survivor. Now I won't go into any more detail than that because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who hasn't yet played it or completed the story. So let's move on to the gameplay. Now whilst I really enjoyed Fallen Order, it did have some gameplay mechanic issues, like the maps weren't very well laid out and there was no fast travel at all, and a lot of backtracking. But I'm pleased to say all of those issues have been rectified in Jedi Survivor. I'll go into more detail on the maps themselves in just a minute, but one of the main gameplay differences in the sequel are the different combat stances you can use, and there are 5 in total. It probably won't take you too long playing the game to figure out which one is your favourite. I switched to the blaster stance pretty early on and I haven't looked back since. I did give the crossguard stance a little try when I first got it, but whilst the successful hits carry much more damage, your attacks are going to be far slower. But having 5 different stances is a great addition so people can tailor the way they approach the combat in the game. And just as importantly, we also get to use a few new force powers in addition to the ones we learned in Fallen Order. And some of those are really good. You can now force lift and then force slam enemies, which is great fun in combat, but I think the one I use the most when it comes to tricky situations is confuse, which basically allows you to briefly confuse an enemy so they fight with you rather than against you. And these new force powers really add to the combat in the game, which in itself I think is an improvement from the first game. There's still a lot of focus on timing your attacks and parrying at the right time, but the new force powers and combat stances add a greater depth and excitement to it, whilst new enemies give us a new challenge we've not yet experienced. And one addition we get finally is dismembering. At risk of sounding like a psycho, who doesn't love fighting stormtroopers and watching their arms and legs fly all over the place? Now, 2 of my favourite new mechanics added to this is the new dash ability that Cal has and the new grappling hook. The dash ability allows Cal to reach previously unreachable areas and it makes exploring the maps far easier. Like, I use it all the time, but it's worth noting you don't have access to this straight away. but it won't take you too long until you do get it. In the new grappling hook, it works in a similar way by allowing you to reach distant or hard to reach areas, and both make exploring far more accessible and are a great addition to the game. I actually find myself using the dash ability just running along because it makes you get along a little bit quicker. There are a bunch of new enemies in the game, especially on the Imperial side of things, such as battle droids, droidkas, amongst others. And there are also a variety of new creatures who also want to tear you apart, which is just lovely. Now, these new enemies already add to the very good combat in Jedi Survivor and provide you with a brand new challenge. And if you explore enough, you'll also encounter some legendary creatures throughout the maps, a lot of just exploring and following the story. Now, this one isn't a spoiler as I knew about it before the game was released, but there will be an opportunity for you to take on the Rancor, which is a hidden boss battle and a great one at that. But good luck, because it ain't that easy. So some of these new enemies and of course returning ones really gave me some trouble as I play on a greater difficulty. But the two that really stick out were the Bedlam Smashers and the Sentry Droids, and man did I get frustrated fighting those buggers, especially when other enemies were after me at the same time. But hey, what's a game like this without a little bit of a challenge, right? So what about the maps? Well, as I said, Fallen Order had its maps issues, but they have been removed now, and in all honesty, the maps in Jedi Survivor are truly amazing. Now, some of them are far larger than those that we saw in the original game, as you'd expect, and exploring them is far easier and much more interesting, and not to mention they look absolutely fantastic. You'll probably find yourself taking all sorts of detours en route to your objective and just generally exploring these maps because there are all sorts of collectibles, Easter eggs and even secret boss battles for you to find. Now, some of these smaller locations require specific abilities to reach, a bit like the dash one I mentioned a minute ago, so even once you finish the story, you'll be wanting to go back to those areas you couldn't previously explore. It really is a huge credit to the guys over at Respawn for their level design in Jedi Survivor. Like, every single area, no matter how big or small I came across, was very well detailed and always had something going on, whether it be staring you in the face or if it required you to take a closer look and solve some puzzles. Now, one of my issues with the maps in Fallen Order was the amount of backtracking you had to do, and this has been totally sorted now, and one addition that was much needed was fast travel, which we now have. Whenever we're at a meditation point, you can then fast travel to any of the other meditation points you've already discovered. And that is definitely needed, and mainly because most of the planets we can explore also have much larger maps, as I said, than those in Fallen Order, but they're far better designed and much more intricate. Honestly, I think the map sizes in this game are absolutely perfect for a game like this. I really wouldn't want them any bigger. And another neat addition is we get to ride mounts to make getting around that little bit quicker. We even get to explore Coruscant, which is truly amazing. We've seen loads of it in the film, so finally get to explore it in a game made me a bit all giddy inside. I loved it. Now, overall, the new maps are truly amazing, and I think my only real issue with them is, well, just the number of them. There are a similar number of maps compared to the first game, and whilst they're bigger, I would have loved an extra one or two because I had so much fun exploring them, but hey, if that's my only criticism around the maps, then Respawn have done a really great job. So, the customization has also been greatly extended, including Cal's and BD1's appearance, along with many more outfit choices, lightsaber customizations, blaster customizations, and if you weren't a fan of the poncho from the first game, you're in luck as you now don't have to wear one. But if you did like them, then they're still here, so everyone's happy. It feels a bit like Respawn just decided to go crazy with customization. You can fully alter the appearance of Cal, including his hair, facial hair, and every aspect of his clothing, and they all look pretty unique, and there are dozens of cosmetic options to unlock, and you find these in chests hidden throughout the maps. You can also fully customize BD1, so not just his colours, but you can change his components now as well. And not to mention, there are more colour options than the previous game. And also, your lightsaber is now split up into 9 different parts, and each one of them can be customized individually, so you can even make some really wacky designs if you so desired. As well, of course, still changing the colour of the blade, and I think the same amount of colours are still in this game. And the same thing applies to the blaster, minus the blade colour, of course. That is split up into different sections as well, each one which can be individually customised. So overall, there are a shit ton of customization options, far more than the first game, and it's a great addition, I think. The skill points you earn along the way and leveling up is reasonably similar to that of the first game, so they're fairly limited with what you can do, but you'll never likely fill every skill tree without one hell of a grind. Now, for example, I've been upgrading only my blaster stance skill tree as it's the only one I actually use, and these skill points will be wasted on my other combat stance skill trees. You do have a couple of force skill trees and a survival one, so you need to make sure you're addressing each one of those based on the way you play. Now, leveling up fully, like all skill trees, is a bit of a slog in Jedi Survivor, but it's not a major issue in my eyes. This game isn't designed to be a walk in the park, and overall there are some pretty neat upgrades you can unlock depending on your playstyle. Now, overall, Jedi Survivor is a big step up from Fallen Order and probably one of the best Star Wars games out there at the moment. And Respawn very clearly have a true love for the franchise, and that is noted throughout the entire game. A lot of love has gone into this, the worlds we get to explore are much more immersive, the customization goes far deeper, the combat is truly a spectacle to behold, and the story builds on all the characters we got to know and love from the first game, whilst also introducing to some great new ones along the way. Now, it's not to say this game is without issues, such as its occasional flaky performance and the odd bug, but overall this game is well worth playing. So, now that I've given you my opinion on Jedi Survivor, I'd like to know what yours is. Let me know what you think of the game in the comments section below. If I were to score this game, I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you're still here, it would be totally awesome if you could support my channel by hitting those like and subscribe buttons. And as always, thank you for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.